It was supposed to be a peaceful retreat. Just me, the woods, and the crisp autumn air. I'd spent years dreaming of it, a small getaway to disconnect from the chaos of city life. But that dream would soon turn into a nightmare I can't escape even now. My name is David Grant, and this is my story. If you're reading this, I hope it serves as a warning. The treehouse had been my father's idea. When I was 10, he'd started building it in the towering oak behind our house. Every nail hammered in was a promise of adventure, every plank laid down was a bond between us. But he never finished it. Life had a way of pulling him away, long hours at work, bills piling up, and eventually his untimely death. The treehouse remained a skeletal frame of what could have been. Decades later, I inherited the house after my mother passed away. I had no intention of living there. Too many ghosts, metaphorical ones, haunted those walls. But the treehouse called to me. It felt like a piece of unfinished business. I arrived on a brisk October morning. The house stood unchanged, its paint peeling, windows clouded with dust. But my focus wasn't the house, it was the treehouse. From the kitchen window, I could see it nestled in the oak branches, cloaked in shadow, despite the morning light. Something about it made my stomach twist, but I ignored the feeling. It was just an old treehouse. After all, I spent the day unpacking and making plans. By evening, I decided to inspect the structure. Armed with a flashlight and a toolbox, I climbed the rickety ladder nailed to the trunk. The air grew colder the higher I went, an unnatural chill that gnawed at my skin. When I reached the platform, I shone the flashlight around. The treehouse was in worse shape than I'd thought. Rotten wood sagged under my feet, and cobwebs draped every corner. But as I stood there, I felt a strange pull. It wasn't nostalgia or sentimentality, it was something darker, something I couldn't name. And then I saw it. Carved into one of the wooden beams were words I didn't recognize: Nimitan Amara. They weren't there when I was a kid, I was sure of it. The letters looked jagged, as if someone had scratched them in with a knife. A shiver ran down my spine. That night I couldn't sleep. The wind howled outside, rattling the windows, but it wasn't the wind that kept me awake. It was the treehouse. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw those words: Nimtan Amara. I didn't know what they meant, but they burrowed into my mind like a splinter. By morning, I'd convinced myself I was being irrational. The words were probably just some prank by local kids. Still, a part of me couldn't let it go. I decided to research the phrase. Hours later, I found something: a small mention in an obscure forum. Nimitan referred to a sacred grove in ancient Celtic culture, a place of power. But Amara? That word wasn't so clear. Some posts claimed it meant everlasting, others said it was the name of an entity. None of it made sense, but the unease in my chest deepened. Over the next few days, I worked on the treehouse. Despite its condition, I felt compelled to restore it. Each nail I hammered in felt like a ritual. Each board I replaced like a step toward Tom. I couldn't explain it, but I couldn't stop. Strange things began happening. Tools went missing, only to reappear in odd places. The air around the treehouse seemed thicker, heavier. At night, I heard noises coming from the woods, low whispers carried on the wind, too faint to make out but unmistakably there. One evening, as I was packing up for the day, I noticed something new. Another carving had appeared just below the first. This time it was a symbol, a circle with jagged lines radiating outward. It looked ancient, almost primal. My heart raced as I stared at it, my flashlight trembling in my hand. That night I dreamed of the treehouse. In the dream it was complete, glowing with a faint, eerie light. Inside, a figure stood waiting. I couldn't see its face, but I felt its gaze. It whispered my name in a voice that didn't belong to this world. I woke up drenched in sweat, my chest tight. I told myself it was just a dream, But deep down, I knew better. Something was happening, something I didn't understand. And it all centered on that treehouse. Determined to get answers, I reached out to a local historian, a woman named Evelyn. She specialized in folklore and myths. When I showed her the carvings, her face paled. She explained that the symbol was connected to a legend about a cursed grove, a place where ancient rituals had been performed to summon a being from beyond. They say it's a doorway, she said, her voice trembling. A gateway to something else. If these carvings are appearing on their own, you need to leave. Burn it down if you have to, but don't stay there. I wanted to laugh it off, but her fear was contagious. Still, I couldn't leave. The treehouse felt like it had a hold on me, like it wouldn't let me go. That night, the whispers grew louder. They weren't just outside anymore, they were in the house, in my head. I tried to block them out, but they only grew stronger. By midnight, I couldn't take it anymore. I grabbed a flashlight and stormed out to the treehouse. The moment I stepped onto the ladder, the whispers stopped. The silence was deafening. When I reached the top, I found another carving, a handprint, larger than any human hand, pressed into the wood. It oozed a dark, tar like substance that smelled of decay. And then I heard it, a low, guttural growl from somewhere below. I pointed my flashlight down but saw nothing. The sound grew closer, reverberating through the air. My legs shook as I backed into the treehouse, the floor creaking under my weight. The growl turned into a voice, deep and hollow. You built the door, it said. Now open it. I don't remember how I got back to the house. The next thing I knew, I was inside, the door locked behind me. But I wasn't alone. The whispers had followed me. They were everywhere, filling the air like a chorus of the damned. I'm writing this now because I don't know how much time I have left. The treehouse isn't just a structure, it's a beacon, a doorway, and something on the other side wants in. If you find this, please stay away. Burn it down, bury the ashes, and never look back. The treehouse is no sanctuary. It's a trap, and it's waiting for you.